Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I used Mandibuzz in the Go Battle League. It's a very bulky Pokemon, a great answer to the Ghost and Psychic type Pokemon, and it's also something that in a lot of neutral matchups it has a ton of play. Let's take a look at what Mandibuzz can do here in the Remix Cup meta. Getting into game number 1 here, let's see what we have. We have a Deoxys defense in the lead against a Cofagrigus, so our team is going to be obviously Deoxys, Registeel, and then Mandibuzz. A very bulky lineup, but a good lineup nonetheless. This Cofagrigus lead is absolutely terrible for us to see because we have a Deoxys defense in the lead. That is the Ghost type. You don't want our Psychic against the Ghost type, but we do have our Registeel safe swap here. They answer us with a Shadow Gligar, but they did let us build up a lot of energy against that Coffin before they swapped out. There might be a little bit of play here. We get the first move off. We do get a debuff as well. If we can land the next move, there's a chance I can actually lock on this all the way down, come out with a move, and maybe throw it against whatever comes in. This next Zap Cannon will come through, Zap Cannon does land, and we will put them very low. Another debuff does actually happen, which is amazing. It means now this Dig is going to do nowhere near as much damage. While Gligar does have a lot of charge move pressure here, the fast move pressure is almost non-existent, especially after those 2 debuffs. Shadow Wing attacks don't do too much to us. If the Cofagrigus comes back in, we'll do 1 lock on and throw a Zap Cannon, make sure that we can get it debuffed, or at least low as possible, and hopefully our Deoxys is going to be good against whatever the third Pokemon's going to be. We get the Zap Cannon through, it's going to get the attack drop once again here. Are we going to get Shadow Claw down before we get to another move? It looks like they don't want to even risk it. They're going to go for the charge move here, which is fine by me. I want to absorb all of the energy, all the damage, all my Mandibuzz, and then hopefully use my Deoxys in the back to win the game. Looks like their third pick is going to be a Registeel. One thing that I need to note here is our Deoxys is running Rock Slide, right? It's a good pick in the mirror matchup, right? Because you can outpace to these Rock Slides. You always win the mirror against Thunderbolt Deoxys if you're using Rock Slide. But here against the Registeel matchup, obviously we don't have as much charge move pressure. These Rock Slides are resisted. They're not going to do a lot of damage, but at this point, it's the counters that are doing a lot of damage here. We're going to get one off, we're going to get another one off. If they no-shield this, I think we can farm them all the way down and close out this game with our Mandibuzz. Looks like they did end up no-shielding that. Counters are adding up, and we can take the match there against the Cofagrigus lead. Alright, next match here, we're going to see our Deoxys lead into a Jumpluff. This is actually a matchup where having Rock Slide is very beneficial. Rather than having only neutral pressure here, we do have super effective charge move damage with Rock Slide, and we also have the ability to Psycho Boost if we ever need to, just like Psycho Boost and Dip. We'll see what they want to do here. Acrobatics, it does do a decent chunk of damage, but Deoxys, it's very bulky. Same with Jumpluff, though. So even though there are 2 bulky Pokemon, it's a strong move, it's going to take more than 2 acrobatics to knock us out. First one does land here, an amazing catch by our opponent onto a Steelix. That's not great for us, but what we can do here is overfarm a lot of energy. We're going to use as many counters as we can here right before they get to the crunch and try to catch the move here on our Mandibuzz. Obviously, though, that's a bit of a choreographed swap. They probably knew that I'd swap there, so they didn't throw immediately. Mandibuzz still, though, will be able to absorb all of this damage. Maybe they'll Psychic Fangs us to try to get more fast move pressure here, but their charge moves are going to do absolutely nothing to us. Dark Pulse comes through. It won't knock them out just yet, but it might put them into Snarl down range after all the counter damage I got with my Deoxys. I'm going to take almost no damage, as I was saying, from the Steelix, so I am totally fine just letting them throw as many moves as they want, get all the energy I can out of this matchup, and try to use this energy against whatever comes back in. They get to yet another move here. Again, though, it's not going to do that much damage. Psychic Fangs, it is incredibly resisted by Dark types, so we're going to Snarl all the way down, have energy to go against whatever comes in. I throw the Dark Pulse here, a bit of a mistake. I was trying to expect that maybe something else besides this Jumpluff would come back in, but yeah, I don't really know why I threw that. But we have so much energy here, it doesn't really matter. We're at back-to-back moves. If they want to shield their Jumpluff, they can be my guest. They end up letting it go. What is their third Pokemon going to be? Fire type, a Shadow Typhlosion. This is the end of days. This is terrible for us. The only good thing is the fact that we have 2 moves loaded basically on our Deoxys defense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Psycho Boost, I'm going to swap out, and then I'm going to try to strip a shield here with my Registeel. I do have 2 shields left over. At this point, I need to get this thing into Psycho Boost range, or if they're going to let me land a Focus Blast, that would be amazing as well. We're going to try our best with our Registeel to take a shield from this Typhlosion. Looks like they go for another Incinerate. We get the Focus Blast off, and I know at this point, as long as I can get this into the Psycho Boost range, I should have this game. This thing is a huge core breaker here, especially with how much health we have on our Deoxys in the back. They're throwing another move here. I know, though, if I shield this, I can force them to throw another move, get 1 extra lock-on damage. I don't know how much that 1 damage helps, but it's going to be better than nothing. We get the Blast Run, it knocks us out. We're going to do 1 counter, Psycho Boost. Is this enough to knock out? We'll just have to hope. Deoxys, can you do it? Psycho Boost comes through, and it knocks out the Shadow Typhlosion. I looked it up after the fact. That only does 52%, so it was on the verge. Maybe that 1 HP of that lock-on damage actually did end up coming into play. Alright, next match, we're going to see the Shadow Dragonite into our Deoxys defense. Deoxys obviously is a fighter, right? So our fast move pressure is resisted here. With that said, we can survive a Dragon Claw from this range, get to 2 Psycho Boosts, probably take a shield, and also deal a lot of damage here to this Dragonite. Even though we do have Rock Slide, it would pace a little bit too slow to really want to throw it. So we're just going to go double Psycho Boost. Let them do what they want to here. If they're going to want to double shield, that's fine by me. If they just let this go, that's even better. They do let it go. And at this point, Mandibuzz can likely absorb the energy here, farm them down, or throw a move before they get to too many more moves against us, and see how they want to play it out. Our Snarls are actually chunking here. They actually give us a sneak as well. They thought I'd probably throw a move there. Luckily, I did not. We get to Snarl this thing all the way down, and now our Registeel in the back should be in a very good spot. Normally against these Dragonite leads, we're going to see a lot of play for our Registeel. Looks like it is their own Regi coming in. The reason I throw this move is to put them into Focus Blast range for my own Registeel. Now I can come in, shield up their move, and be in a very good spot. They instantly swap, though. They swap into their Jellicent. At this point, the game is basically over here. I can Zap Cannon this Jellicent. It won't quite knock out, but it will put them into prime lock-on down range. The Zap Cannon does come through. It gets a debuff. At this point, I'm up 2 shields. They realize that there's not much they can do here, and we can take the match against that Dragonite lead. Alright, next matchup, Deoxys defense into a Shadow Magnezone. Fantastic lead. Obviously, we have fighting-type damage. Our charge moves don't do a lot of damage, but our fast move does a lot to Magnezone. We can Psycho Boost this Safe Swap Gligar, come in with our Mandibuzz, absorb all of the energy here, and hopefully keep switch advantage so I cannot have my Registeel aligned into that Magnezone later on. Gligar is going to throw a lot of moves at us, but honestly, I am totally fine by that. This matchup is well within my control. Aerial Ace number 1 comes through. I can survive 2 more of those at this point. Honestly, I want to take more damage, give that Magnezone less of a farm down, and maybe I can actually come out of this with a Dark Pulse myself. We get to a Dark Pulse. We don't throw it just yet, because I know they were 5 wing attacks off. We can build up as much energy as possible. If they happen to let this go, I want to have as much energy as I can for that Magnezone in the back. Looks like it doesn't quite knock them out. This is actually the best case scenario, even still for me. I want to give that Magnezone as little energy as possible. They'll get 2 Volt Switches here rather than like 4 or 5 that they would have got if they didn't throw that Aerial Ace. So now I can throw the Dark Pulse here against the Magnezone. It will do a sizable amount of damage. If this goes unshielded, we will have to see what are they going to do. They end up shielding it up. So now we have switch advantage. We have shield advantage, but this Magnezone does have a little bit of energy. A Wild Charge would do a lot of damage to us, so I will respect it. Shield up this move. They could bait us, but that is totally fine if they do, but they don't. They go straight for the big move, and in the back, it is a Jellicent. We have our Registeel for this. We're in a very good spot. I guess they wanted to top left there. The game wasn't completely over, in my opinion. If they would have been able to get a nice farm down against our Registeel with their Magnezone, maybe they could have done something, but still, we'll take the game there. Alright, Deoxys defense into the Quagsire lead. Non-Shadow Quagsire is actually a little bit troublesome, right? The Shadow Quagsire, we'd be having a lot more fast move pressure into. The Psycho Boost would be a lot more, like, instantly pressuring their shields, but here, against the non-Shadow, you can see just how bulky they are. With that said, they're not going to be able to take us out too easily with these charge moves. These Aqua Tails are doing a lot of damage, but not enough to 3-shot us. They probably have to land a Stone Edge if they want to knock us out in the Zero Shield matchup now. Psycho Boost number 1 does get shielded. We are at Psycho Boost number 2. We are 1 counter off of Psycho Boost number 3. We're going to throw the second one. Obviously, after that debuff, it doesn't do too much damage here, but it is going to chunk them down pretty low. I'm very happy to neutralize this, so we don't have to deal with it with our Registeel in the back, and they actually end up swapping out here. They safe swap their Mantine. Luckily, this is what Registeel is for, right? Regi can absorb all of this energy. We get to clear our debuff on Deoxys defense, so we can have a lot more fast move pressure with counters in the back if we need it. Looks like they are running Water Pulse, a very flexible moveset in this meta, and right now I'm going to try to go for the perfect lock-on down. Undercharge the Zap Cannon as much as I can, put them in range where I can fast move them all the way down here. Maybe missed maybe a couple more bubbles than I would have wanted to. If I could have got them a little bit lower with that Zap Cannon, that could have been nice, but it's good to know. I've never really been in this matchup, so I was pretty proud of that undercharge in the moment, but we will end up taking another Aerial Ace I would have preferred not to take. With that said, though, we can come out of this with a Zap Cannon or a Focus Blast to throw into whatever comes in. I'm just going to Zap Cannon because I know at this point that Quagsire is in range where that will knock out, but they end up CMPing me. I could shield this, I could let it go. It really depends on what I think is in the back. I do let it go because I know that my Deoxys can counter this down and hopefully have play into whatever that third Pokemon's going to be. Looks like they do swap out to a Mandibuzz, and I can get to this Rock Slide. They're already down 1 shield. I'd be very surprised to see that they would shield again. This Rock Slide does come through, and now after that chip damage, I think that I've given myself enough of an advantage here in the mirror match that we are in no worries of knocking out this Mandibuzz. The first Aerial Ace will come through. This matchup will take a little bit of time here, right? The Mandibuzz mirror does take quite a lot of fast moves, or charge moves rather, to conclude. The next Aerial Ace is coming through. It's kind of hard to commentate over here, honestly. It's just a lot of Aerial Aces back and forth, right? Very, very bulky Pokemon. Not the best moves in the game. We have no fast move pressure into each other. This is probably one of the longest mirror matchups in the game, so I'm very happy we landed that Rock Slide. One thing we have to keep in mind, though, is because so many charge moves are being thrown, there is a chance very soon that that Quagsire can come back in. My switch clock is back up. Their switch clock is going to be back up as well after this charge move. Looks like that might have been a CMP as well, which is good information to know. It means that my Mandibuzz has a little bit more attack than theirs. Mine is generally a pretty high rank here, but I guess not higher ranked, or yeah, yes, it is less high ranked than our opponent. We'll show up this move. A Stone Edge would basically knock us out from this range. They might bait us, they might not. Looks like it is going to be that Aqua Tail. Just come into Deoxys for a little bit of extra fast move pressure, and I don't know if you guys saw it there. There is the timer coming up right now. That means if they can knock out our Deoxys, we might lose this on timer. Luckily, we counter down the Quagsire. We have more health remaining on our Mandibuzz in the back, and we also get to this charge move. If they let this go, we just instantly win the game. If not, we win through timer. Looks like they do let it go. Psycho Boost actually enough to knock out the Dark type there. Let's go. A timer win. Not kind of a timer win. We still won that game just with fast and charge move pressure, but the timer did come up. Alright, Deoxys defense into Deoxys defense. I was saying one of the big advantages here of having Rock Slide was in the mirror match. This is because if the opposing Deoxys has Thunderbolt and Psycho Boost, I can get to 3 Rock Slides in the Zero Shield matchup before they can get to 2 Thunderbolts and a Psycho Boost. So I guarantee no matter what happens, I will always win this mirror match in the Zero Shield. First Rock Slide does come through. Obviously, does less damage than their Thunderbolts, but my next Rock Slide will put them pretty low, and we will be able to pace to the next one very soon. Rock Slide number 2 coming through. We are going to put them very low into the red, and at this point, they're in a range where even if our Deoxys does somehow go down at some point, we can easily deal with them, even with a Lock-on down or a Snarl down with our backline. We'll get to this next one. I make sure that that counter does register. That way my Deoxys defense has much less health. It gives whatever is going to come into farm me down less farm down potential, but it looks like they shielded that anyway, so that didn't actually end up mattering. But we can snarl this all the way down. I know with the Deoxys defense lead, the odds of my Mandibuzz having a lot of play in the back seem kind of low, so we're going to just kind of absorb energy here and try to use our Registeel once their counter user is gone. What are they going to come in with? Can be Dark types, can be... honestly, I've seen so many different teams. Looks like this time it's going to be an Obstagoon. I swap in my Registeel. They instant swap. They swap, I swap kind of scenario there. They swap right into their Tentacruel, which is fantastic news for me. I was a little bit worried when I saw that Goon, but now that I know they're third, I can neutralize this with a Zap Cannon, put them into prime lock-on down range, and hopefully get some Focus Blast against that Obstagoon. Now that this Tentacruel's out of the way, it's a 2-on-1. I have shield advantage. We'll no-shield this Scald, because I know it's not going to do that much damage, and we can lock on this all the way down, have a ton of energy for that Obstagoon, throw this Focus Blast. My lose condition, it probably wouldn't even be a lose condition, but the way I lose this game potentially is if they no-shield a Zap Cannon and then somehow make something happen with their Obstagoon here. I want to just go for guarantees. I know for sure that I can get to these Focus Blasts. I have 2 shields. Just go for 2 Focus Blasts. Don't play the funny play of trying to debuff them with the Zap Cannon. They do have Obstruct, but Obstruct, that defense boost, will not do anything in this matchup. We will still one-shot them with Focus Blast and take the game with our Registeel in the back. Alright, next matchup against House Stark 93, a fellow teammate of mine, a regional champion, a fantastic battler, and a fantastic lead for me, a Shadow Magnezone rather, and what comes in here, that's actually a Deoxys defense. Not the most common safe swap in the meta, so for a second there I was like, what the heck is this? It's a Psychic type, so it took me a second to swap out, but we were quick enough here that we will be able to get to 2 Dark Pulses before he can get to 2 Thunderbolts. As you can see, this matchup isn't that bad for Deoxys, because obviously these Thunderbolts and these counters are adding up quite a bit, but Mandibuzz is bulky. We can outpace here to these Dark Pulses. I have to throw on bad timing here to make sure I get this off before his next Thunderbolt comes through, but that's totally fine. I know that Magneton will get a farm down, but we probably will also get a Dark Pulse off of our own, so it's a risk that I'm willing to take here, giving this Magneton a lot of energy. It's going to be annoying, but I think we're still in a good spot. If they no-shield this, they're going to be very low. If they shield it, then we'll have shield advantage. We can probably shield a Wild Charge from them now, so it gives us a little bit more free wiggle room here. Alright, they do throw a move immediately. I feel like this is a likely Zap, or Wild Charge rather. It is a Mirror Shot though. We shield up the bait, that is a little unfortunate, but we can build up energy, and then once again, a Mantine in the back. Registeel knows what to do. We made a perfect undercharge last time. Are we going to be able to do that once again? We are in a bit of a different health range this time. It doesn't have quite as much chip damage as it did last time, so I have to make sure that I keep that in mind, right? Go for as many bubbles as I think is going to be enough. Is this nice going to be a perfect lock-on down? Looks like this time that is probably the perfect health range. They might be able to get to 2 Water Pulses here, but I don't think they can get that third. The second one does come through. Lock-ons are going to come through here. Can I get that fast move down before he gets the move? Looks like we can. And now we can Focus Blast this Magnezone, take the last shield. I'll also stall out the switch clock a little bit so that they can't farm us all the way down. And when we can, swap to our Deoxys, come in, Psycho Boost once, Psycho Boost twice, and now this should be game over against the Magnezone lead. Obviously a very favorable matchup, but we had to do everything we could to not let him leverage advantage against us. Next Psycho Boost will get the knockout here. GG's, and a very fun match, very fun team, very unique matchup there too. All right, next game, we're going to see that we have our Deoxys defense lead into a Shadow Gligar. Rock Slide is another thing that is kind of helpful in this matchup, because we have a move that doesn't debuff us, that is doing neutral damage. Thunderbolt obviously is resisted, Rock Slide is going to be neutral here. They do throw a move. Shadow Gligar still is relatively comfortable in this matchup, but we can maybe take a shield from them if we want to try. We get the Rock Slide off, we throw after double Psycho Boost. This is because I want them to think that I'm going to Psycho Boost them twice. I want them to shield the first move, but they actually don't. That's still fine though, we can land it, we can get the Psycho Boost off of our own, and maybe take a shield here. If they do shield it, then we know that they're kind of scared of Deoxys, and maybe I'd want to save it. I'm going to build up a little bit of extra energy, try to make a catch here right on the Aerial Ace. Obviously, it won't be a dig. I was well within range of the Aerial Ace knocking us out on the Deoxys, but it would have been nice, I guess, if we made that catch, and a Registeel comes back in. Mandibuzz, it's very bulky, but after that chip damage from the Aerial Ace, I think we are within Zap Cannon plus lock-on range, so maybe not the best situation to be in. We are having a lot of neutral damage ourselves. Even though we are kind of weak to Registeel, we have a lot of dark type damage here. Snarl, Dark Pulse, they're both going to start adding up. Maybe I can get to 2 Dark Pulses, put them in range, where I can chip them down as well with my Deoxys or with my Registeel. Let's see what's going to happen here. Next Dark Pulse does come through. They did debuff our attack, which is a little bit unfortunate. We do get off this next Dark Pulse. Very good to see. We can probably swap out now to our Deoxys defense, get a Psycho Boost through, and maybe knock them out here with that. If this move knocks out, we are in a very good spot. Let's see what's going to happen. It looked like it was a CMP, but I don't think it was. I think he only got 2 fast moves through. Maybe he's going to swap out now. And the third Pokemon is a Jellicent. So I see ways to win this game, but it's going to be very, very tricky. This Jellicent is likely going to be able to strip a shield from us. That Gligar has 5 wing attacks of energy. Their Registeel has a full Focus Blast loaded. So I can't shield here. But the thing is, I think I might have to. I need a debuff. If I get a debuff, then I know for sure I don't have to shield the next move. It all hinges on this debuff here. And we don't get it. That means this next Shadow Ball will put us well within fast move farm down range if we don't shield it. So even though I know I can't shield, I kind of have to. We'll try to still go for the lock on down. Maybe there's still some play with a catch later on, but they bait me with a Surf. So now I have to use a catch in a place I don't want to. If I were to take that Surf on my Registeel there, then I would be in range where Aerial Ace would be enough to knock me out from that Gligar. So I can't let that happen either. We do get the lock on down. The Gligar does come in, we throw the move immediately, and maybe we can knock out this Gligar, but if that Registeel's not in lock-on down range, I don't think there's much we can do. The first shield's going to have to be used here. A Dig would easily knock us out, but that Registeel, if it at 1 HP, if so, we can lock on down. It was not. It was at 2 HP. They get the move off, and unfortunately, on a very close game, on a very uncomfortable matchup, we just barely took the loss. GG's to our opponent. Let's see what we can do in the next match here. We're going to have our Deoxys defense into yet another Shadow Magnezone lead. Saw a couple leads today. A very good lead for us, and this time they're actually staying in this matchup. We're just going to stay in with Deoxys. I know at this point that if they're staying in, I can survive a Wild Charge, have energy for the back line, just no-shield this move. It's actually a Mirror Shot bait. That's fantastic for us. And our opponent top left. All right, very quick match. Fun to see. Let's see what is in the next matchup here. Deoxys into Deoxys, obviously a very neutral matchup here. This is why we have Rock Slide. One of the main reasons, at least, we can go for the Rock Slides. The 3 Rock Slides will knock out in the Zero Shield matchup. Are they running Rock Slide themselves, or is it Thunderbolt? Looks like this one is also running Thunderbolt. The last few days, I have seen a couple people run Rock Slide, but it seems like Thunderbolt still is the most common moveset on these Deoxys. We're just running it to see how it goes, how much fun it is, and to win these neutral matchups. Rock Slide honestly did put in a decent amount of work today. There's like one matchup where having Thunderbolt would have won me the game against a Jellicent, but that's you know, sometimes it happens, right? You always want to have the moveset you don't have. You know, Azumarill is another Pokemon that has that situation a lot, right? Where you'd rather have Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Play Rough. You don't have the one move you kind of need. Once again, though, we let our Deoxys get as low as possible. If they let this go, now whatever's going to come in to farm us down is going to get very little energy. What is it going to be? It's going to be a Dragon type. Looks like that is a Goodra. I know that Registeel generally has play in the back with these Deoxys teams, so I'm actually going to come into the Mandibuzz here. This is actually for 2 reasons. One reason is because I know I can't knock them out with 1 Focus Blast, and the second reason, as I said, is because I think Reggie could be helpful in the back. I can get to 2 Dark Pulses here, hopefully get the knockout, and then if I can, that's going to make it so either I get a shield, or I will get the KO on this Goodra, and we get to see what's in the back before they get that second Thunder Punch off. The first Thunder Punch and the Dragon Breath are adding up very quickly here. Luckily, our Mandibuzz will get to the second move before they get their second Thunder Punch off. If they shield this, I think I'm just going to swap to Reggie at this point. That way, I save my Mandibuzz, and I can start building up energy for whatever might be in the back. Or if they just want to stay in here, maybe I can take energy here. Looks like they are staying in for a second, so my theory of Registeel being good in the back seems to be paying off. Aqua Tail does come through. It does a lot of damage, but it's not going to do enough where we're going to shield it just yet. The Dragon Breaths do a decent chunk as well. It's 2 damage per Dragon Breath, so this damage does add up. And in the back is a Ferrothorn. So yeah, we did kind of call it, right? Registeel in the back would be very powerful. And this Focus Blast, it won't one-shot them, but it will put them into fast move farm down range. Maybe not from our Registeel, but at this point, since they stayed in that Goodra versus Registeel matchup so long, I know that I can stall at the Switch Clock. I saw this was only 4. This is just a Power Whip. I know I survived that easily, and I'm going to try to swap to my Mandibuzz when I can. I can't quite swap yet, and this was after 3. I know 3 Bullet Seeds is going to be a Mirror Shot. I survived that as well. We can snarl this all the way down with Mandibuzz, and with how much energy we have on both our Registeel and our Mandibuzz, I know for sure I can just start chipping down this Goodra, get to 2 Dark Pulses likely, and if we need to, we also have that Focus Blast loaded in the back. Snarls do knock out this Ferrothorn, and we can take the game here once this Goodra comes back in. They want to shield this, they definitely can, but it's not going to be enough here. Dark Pulse obviously gets the knockout. GG's to our opponent. Fantastic game. Alright, next matchup here, we're going to see the Deoxys defense lead into the Steelix, the non-Shadow Steelix. This is a bit awkward, right? We have a lot of play into this, but our Deoxys has nowhere to go with these charge moves. So I'm going to try to make a catch here with my Mandibuzz. If it's a Crunch, that's a fantastic catch. If it's Psychic Fangs, that's a little bit less amazing for us. Looks like it is a Psychic Fangs, which means that even though we don't take a lot of damage, it's going to debuff us for this next matchup. With that said, though, we still have a lot of energy left over on our Mandibuzz, or on our Deoxys, and our Mandibuzz here in this matchup can build up a lot of energy, and they're not running Ice Beam. They just Aerial Aced us, which is fantastic to see. That means our Mandibuzz can still get a lot of work done here. Maybe I can still either take Switch Advantage here or take a Shield, because Mandibuzz is not going to get knocked out by a Water Pulse, and I have so much energy here, I think we might still be in a decent spot. The next move comes through, it's going to be the Water Pulse this time. We are in Wing Attack downrange, but we are easily going to be able to get to these 2 moves before they can get to another Aerial Ace. This Dark Pulse does come through, it gets no shielded, and then I'm going to throw another Dark Pulse here just to guarantee the knockout. I know I won't get to another move, even though an Ace might have knocked out, just want to guarantee the KO here. Dark Pulse will actually draw a shield, and I see a way to easily give myself a huge advantage. Just come in with Registeel, try to lock on this all the way down, and then see what they're going to do. Obviously, they do have Water Pulse here, which means they do have some neutral play into me. I was kind of considering shielding that, but since I don't know what's in the back, I feel like shielding a Water Pulse might not be the best play. They get another move off. We'll no shield it again. Let's see what it's going to be. Is it an Aerial Ace? I think it might be. Yeah, this time it's just an Ace. We can survive that pretty easily, have a lot of energy to go against whatever's going to try to come in. It's a Psychic type. It is a counter user. That means it is a Deoxys defense of their own. We get the Zap Cannon off. It's going to do a ton of damage to them. Put them basically in range where another one will knock out. And hopefully now, with how much energy we have on both our Deoxys and our Registeel, we can still deal with that Steelix. A Thunderbolt would do a lot of damage to us. It's probably one of the more damaging moves left in the game. And I think my Registeel has a lot of play here. So I'm going to shield that. Go for the Focus Blast, actually, expecting a shield. Let's see what they're going to do. They actually are going to no shield this, which is kind of bad for me. I guess Zap Cannon would have just won me the game there. But I think we're still in a good spot, because even though we have our Deoxys that has no energy to throw into this, or at least its energy goes nowhere into Steelix rather, we can still do a lot of fast move pressure, and we still have our Registeel alive. They do shield the first move, the Rock Slide, so fantastic stuff. That means I can start going for Psycho Boosts, which are going to do a lot more damage than they would do to me, and we call the Psychic Fangs there. If we took a Crunch, we might have been able to lose that game, but we kind of had to make a call there, because if they do bait us, and they do get their next move off, then they could knock us out with their next Crunch. So fantastic call there. A bit of a risky read, but something that I think we kind of had to do. The next Psycho Boost is not quite enough to knock them out, but we've gotten them so low at this point, I can counter them down, and then I think that my Registeel might even be able to lock on down if we need to. Swap to clear the defense drop, they also swap. Keep tapping here, there's still that Steelix around, but they end up top lefting, and we can take the game against that Pokemon. Mandibuzz is a very fun pick here in the Remix meta. It obviously is very bulky, it might take a little bit of getting used to, but it is a great Pokemon to try out. Carbink, obviously the worst thing for it to see. Anything that's weak to Carbink has to watch out for it, but this team kind of protects our Mandibuzz from it pretty well, and it's a fun Pokemon to use, especially combined with Deoxys defense that can Psycho Boost something, then you absorb all the energy on Mandibuzz. So a very fun team, and a very bulky team here if you want to try it out in the Remix meta. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/itsdaxon, so if you want to see more content like this live, make sure to check me out there. I'm also going to upload a lot more videos to this channel, so if you want to see more content, make sure to subscribe. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.